Hi, welcome to Ease. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Candy Tolentino, and it's my personal mission to help aspiring entrepreneurs stop dreaming and start doing so you can live the life of passion, purpose, and ease we were all born to live. On today's episode, I'm super jazzed to welcome a guest who is a real estate entrepreneur who has over 250 units, and he is very diversified in his portfolio. He's got vacation rentals, he's got fix and flips, he's got mobile home parks, not sexy, but very profitable. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jeff Boyd of Concept Investments. Jeff,
hi,
thank you for being all the way from Vancouver, Canada. How are you?
All the way. I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being on, and I can't wait to peel back the layers of this onion and kind of dive into your mindset, because to have acquired 250 plus units, that is no small feat. Nothing to, yeah. And it's not even like you went to real estate school, right?
No, it's good, but you know, you always want more, right? So you want 5, then you want 10, then you want 200, and now I want 1,000. So it's
I love it. Is 1,000 the next goal? Like, is that a serious landmark for you?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal for this year. So we've got a big year to hit here.
Big dreams. I love it. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, though. You're at 250. Goal is 1,000 within the year. I love it. Big dreams, big ambitions. How did you get started in real estate investing at all? For those who aren't familiar with your story, help us out, Jeff.
Well, you know, like everybody, I was working a job that I didn't really like. And, you know, you're always trying to think of ways to get out of that job. Pretty much like every other real estate investor, I think, you know, everybody reads Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's a ton of books out there on real estate. And I realized a long time ago that was the path that I wanted to take. So when I was working at this job, I slowly started picking away at it. And I started with a duplex. Me and my friend partnered it up on a duplex in Indianapolis, $32,000 duplex, $16,000 each, rented for $1,000 a month. We said to each other, in 32 months, we're going to have our money back. This is great. We're going to retire next year. This is awesome. Let's buy a bunch of these. And we bought that one. And I think it took another 4 or 5 years before we bought another one. But yeah, you know, everything starts with one, right? So
I love it. Okay, so I want to dismantle this a little bit.
Sure.
So you find a duplex that's for sale. It's just $32,000.
Yeah.
What year was this?
2013. And
okay, so only 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. And let me rewind a little bit. We also don't live anywhere near there. So I'm living in Canada. He finds this duplex in Indianapolis, Indiana. I had never even been there. And truth be told, I never actually went to that duplex until about a year and a half ago. I went to it for the first time ever and saw it. And I told the property manager, I'm coming to town. I'm going to check the duplex out. He's like, oh, wow. Like, you know, you're finally coming. And he told the tenants, and I pulled up out front and I looked at it, and I said it had a dog in the yard. And I was like, oh, I didn't know they had a dog. And I looked at the dog. It looked kind of mean. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going inside. So I still have never been inside.
Whoa. Okay. Let me ask you this. Number one, is it dog friendly?
I don't know. Like, it didn't look friendly.
No. I meant, is the unit dog friendly? Are you okay with your tenants having pets?
I didn't make that decision, but I guess I'm okay with it. I mean, I put that on the property manager, right? So, yeah.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. So you have a property management company in place that's supposed to handle all the details for you. So they manage whether it's pet friendly or not, security deposits, rent payment, maintenance. They do all of that.
Yeah. We give them full reign, like do what you got to do. They ask us every year, do you want to increase the rents? I always go back to them and say, hey, do what you think is necessary. I've had the same tenants probably 7 or 8 years. I'm like, you know, don't lose the tenants. I'm not, we might be able to get way more rent, but don't lose them. Bump it up marginally. But and let me tell you a quick story about how I found that property management company too.
Okay.
I hired a property management company, and they were absolutely atrocious. They were terrible, and we weren't really making any money on the property after we bought it. So, I realized it was a property manager. This guy was, I don't know, spending too much money. I don't know what his deal was. He had tenants coming, tenants going.
And may I ask, how much were you paying this property management terrible company?
Yeah, 10%. So
10%. Okay, 10%.
Yeah. And so they're getting $100 a month basically. And
okay.
So my partner at the time, he's like, "Oh man, maybe we shouldn't have bought this thing." He's panicking, right? And so I did a Google Street View of the neighborhood. And actually, first of all, I called a few property management companies. They're like, "Oh, that's too far away. We don't do anything in that neighborhood." And I'm like, "Well, how big is this town?" Like, and so anyways, I go on Google Street View and I'm like driving around the neighborhood, and I see a property management sign in someone's front yard. And it's like, XYZ property management had a phone number. So I called them, and that's our property manager to this day. And they're absolutely amazing people too. It's a husband and a wife. They're amazing, amazing. So anyways.
Amen. Now, are you still at 10%?
Yep. 10%.
Okay.
Yep.
So for anybody listening, that's reasonable. You don't have to pay 20, 25. When I was doing vacation rentals, 20% was pretty standard. Even I saw 25 and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. But that's a lot more turnover too, right? You're dealing with gas, you're dealing with cleaners, it's a little bit different. On the long-term rental side of things, 10% is pretty common.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like 10%. But here's the thing. I guess, so all of my vacation rentals were self-managed, but I was talking to companies who, yes, they are communicating with guests, but I still would have been the one managing the cleaning crew and my maintenance. And so I thought that 20 to 25% was a big chunk. Yeah,
that's too much. That's too much. I had a short-term rental one I used before. They're 18%, but they called the cleaners and they did all that stuff. But then at the end of the day, they had like really crappy cleaners, and they weren't great. So, yeah. But the long-term rental, it's a different game. Like you can get a decent property manager for sure. 10%.
Okay. Because it's true. I will say, in my experience, at least with vacation rentals, the cleaning crew can make or break you. And it sounds like with your long-term rentals, your management company, if you are going to employ one, is make or break. So you went from one who was horrible and you were losing money to one who's been really good, right? For many years on end. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So take me back though to—
Hold on. I got a tip for you here.
Oh yeah. We need the tip. Go ahead.
Okay. So you're talking about, short-term rentals and the cleaners make or break you, right?
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do on a short-term rental is you hire someone else. We call them like the checker person. And let's say your cleaning fee is $150 every stay. And I get a set rate with the cleaner. So say it's $120, whatever it is. And that leaves me that $30. I hire a checker for that extra $30 every time to walk the property between 3 and 4, because check-in's usually 4 o'clock. Walk it between 3 and 4. Check on the maid, make sure she hung the towels, make sure there's nothing left in the dryer, because they always leave stuff in the dryer. Make sure they didn't miss any garbages, and make sure there's no food in the fridge, because they always forget that too. So I had 2 layers of cleaners on every short-term rental. So that extra $30, and you'd be surprised how many people apply for that job when you put it up. Like, looking for someone to walk a property 2-3 times a week, $30 flat rate. Sometimes you got to change a light bulb, a battery, whatever. You have more resumes than you can deal with. It's insane.
Jeff, that is so brilliant. I am like thinking you are Superman right now. If listeners who are interested in vacation rentals gain nothing else from this episode, that is a huge tip. That could make your business right there, because you are right. I have had nightmares where guests showed up and the beds weren't made, and people sent me false pictures. Like, because I always have my cleaning crew send me before and after pictures, and they sent me phony befores.
Wow.
I'm sorry, phony afters based on, ones they had before.
So your checker person, the other thing that I make them do is I make them videotape the property while they're walking it. So I've had guests say, "Oh, those scratches on the couch, on the leather couch, those aren't from me." And I'm like, "Oh, let me check the video." And they're like, "Oh, video?" And they're like, "You have cameras in here?" No, but we record it every time before you check in. And I've caught so many people lying like that. Or they say, "Your maid did a terrible job cleaning." I don't think my maid did a terrible job. First of all, I have a video of it. And second of all, I had someone walk it and check it after the maid. So, you know, either the maid sucked and my checker missed it, or it's not real. So
amen. I love it. So yeah, for $30, you can get someone to basically save your business and your reviews and everything when they catch problems before they happen, when the guest moves in. And I bet it keeps your cleaning staff more honest too.
For sure, for sure. And there's extra garbage. Sometimes all the garbage on the site doesn't fit in the garbage can, right? I make them take it with them. Go put it in a dumpster somewhere or whatever. Just get it off site, right? So whatever your cleaning fee is, add $30 to it, and then that's what you charge everybody every night. I'm not looking to make money on that every night. But anyways,
okay.
We digress. That's a little tip. You mentioned the short-term rentals and maids. I thought, you know, I got a trick for you here. So
I love it. I do have a quick question about that. I build in, and so I'm just curious if you've ever done this with short-term rentals. I build in a little cushion for gifts, for maybe snacks, for even incidentals, toilet tissue. Do you ever do anything like that, or you just build that into your nightly rate?
Yeah, I build that into my nightly rate. I'm not opposed to that. The problem I have is all my Airbnbs, for the most part, are very far away from me. So gifts and, you know, I've thought about the bottles of wine, and it's logistically more difficult for me now. I got to get my checker guy or somebody else to get made. Go buy 10 bottles of wine and don't drink them. And, you know, it just became my house.
Don't drink them. I know what you mean. It's a whole other layer of complexity. And it's like in the beginning, when I first started with vacation rentals, I was rolling out the red carpet, right? Like you said, bottles of wine and big baskets of food and fruit and amazing things, handwritten notes. By the end, it was like, I would still give something, some kind of juice, some sparkling champagne, something, and maybe some donuts.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of Airbnbs, and for me, I mean, none of that stuff really does. Like, I just stayed in one not too long ago. They had popcorn and chips and chocolate bars and all that stuff, which is cool. But for me, like, it comes down to like the cleanliness. It's got to have water. I don't know why some of these Airbnbs don't have water. I don't know if I can drink out of your tap or not. Like, is there put a Brita in the fridge or something, right? Like,
okay, so you're okay with the Brita filter, right? Because my lower end ones, I would have a Brita filter, and then the more upscale ones, they usually had like a unit, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to fill my cup up out of the tap. I don't know. Like, I'm not from here. Like, is it okay to drink this, right? Like, so like I need clean water. You know, a clean place, towels and stuff. And like, obviously you gotta have soaps and shampoos and stuff like that. The rest, I don't really care. Like, if you leave a bag of chips or popcorn, cool. But a bottle of wine, like, chances are I'm traveling with me or by myself or some work people or whatever. We're probably not going to drink it anyways. Right. So.
Oh, I feel you on that. But yeah, water. I've been in quite a few Airbnbs and vacation rentals, and there's no water. And it's like, oh, you gotta, you know, you get in late, you have to run to the store. So that's a good tip. Like, just do for people what you would want them to do for you.
Basics. Very basic.
Basics. But coming back to you being able to manage your properties remotely, because that is like the dream. So I really want to dig into that. So this first one, your first 60, you said 32K, right? 32K.
32K. Yep. 16K each. Me and I split it with a friend. We still own it to this day.
You own it. I love that. What gave you, if I may say so, excuse my French, what gave you the balls to be able to buy a property in another country, much less not right in your own backyard?
Yeah.
Sight unseen.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I knew someone else that had done it before, so he was doing a lot of stuff across the border. So I kind of got a little bit of confidence from that. And second of all, at the end of the day, the risk was relatively low. We're talking $32,000, which, you know, relatively low risk for something that's potentially could pay off. Now, would you spend $32,000 to go to school to, I don't know, to do whatever? Probably. So, you know, worst case scenario is a $32,000 lesson, right? So
I love your philosophy, and 250 plus units later, I'd say that risk paid off. So, okay, 16K each. It sounds like you're charging 500 for each property, right? So 1,000 a month.
Yep.
You have no mortgage, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yep, nothing. Yep.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and, you know, in 10 years, obviously the value of that property is skyrocketed, along with the rents have gone up too, but they're marginal, just because we've kept the same people. But, you know, it's a win no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a cool landlord, to be honest.
Well, we do send we do send them a Christmas gift every year, so maybe they
I
like it.
I like that. And no other nightmare stories with the management company. That's been all
No,
good.
rock solid. Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a tip for anybody listening. You don't have to know how to like hammer a nail yourself. You don't have to even be in the same country, in the same area as a property. Be open for opportunities. Like Jeff lives in Vancouver and bought a property in Indianapolis. In my backyard, I live in the Salt Lake City area. We are the number 1 or 2 appreciating market in the entire country. I'm not buying anything here to cash flow at the moment. But just because I can't find something here doesn't mean I can't think outside the box and find something in Topeka, Kansas, or where, and so can you. So I love that you did this, successfully, and you don't even lose sleep over having properties in another country.
No. Honestly, as we've gone, so I have some Airbnbs here in Vancouver in our own backyard, and I actually prefer the stuff that I don't live near. You create systems, right? So you have a problem. Let's say a guest messages you at 8 o'clock at night on one of your Airbnbs and says there's no hot water. Now, if that's in my own backyard, I can guarantee you I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to drive over there, I'm going to try to figure it out. But when it's 2,000 miles away, I'm like, well, hopefully my contractor's going, hopefully the plumber's going, whatever. You make your calls, you have your systems, and you sit back and wait for an answer. It's almost better to not be there.
Systems. I love it. And that systems are what have allowed you to scale to 250 units, right?
Yeah.
So how did you go from, let's say, the first 1 to the first 20?
Yeah.
And then beyond? What did that look like?
Yeah, that's very hard. Because you're usually buying single family houses. And when you're buying single family houses, to go from 1 to 20, you need 20 houses, 20 mortgages, whatever it is. It's harder to scale at that pace, right? So we started looking at smaller multifamily. We bought this one property, had a couple duplexes on it. It had a mobile home. It had a commercial unit on the front side. That was good. All of a sudden we had, five units quickly right there. We don't own that property anymore, but it helped us get ahead quicker instead of one at a time. Then I started looking at, apartment buildings. It was very hard for me to crunch the numbers on multifamily properties and see how was I going to make money. The numbers are very low. There's a lot of people fighting for those properties. And that's when I met a guy who he was doing mobile home parks. And, it's like literally the ugliest type of asset class out of them all to own. And, but at the end of the day, it's affordable housing, and affordable housing demand is insane. So he got me onto mobile home parks, and I started looking at them, started analyzing them, got really good at figuring out what's a deal. And then we bought our first mobile home park that had 23 pads in it. So now all of a sudden we add another 23 to the pile, like with one purchase. And then the next one we bought was 68 lots. So now we add another 68 to the pile. So it goes quicker when you're buying that type of asset, let's say.
Okay. So I'm super intrigued by this. And I bet a lot of people listening will be too, because like you said, it's not a sexy asset class. So it's not like everybody and their grandmother is clamoring to pick up mobile home parks. And yet it's a recession-proof business. It's super smart. We absolutely need affordable housing, and we need people to own them and build them and develop who care about the residents. So I love this. I'm intrigued. I'm curious if you'd be willing to break it down a little bit as to how, like, what advice would you give to someone wanting to get into this space? Do you have to just be cash only? Can you get mortgages on these purchases? Educate us.
For sure. First of all, get knowledge, right? Learn as much as you can about what you're trying to buy, right? So when I'm looking at mobile home parks in the beginning, I knew nothing about them. I'm looking at these things. I'm looking at some mobile home parks that are downright scary to look at. And, I realized that, like, I don't want to own those ones. Like, there's different types of mobile home parks too, right? So you dial in what it is you're looking for. What are you willing to spend? And then getting a mortgage and stuff, that's actually really not that hard. The banks actually love mobile home parks. They have one of the lowest default rates of any asset class is a mobile home park. So the banks actually love them. It's affordable housing. The people aren't going anywhere, right? So if you have clean, safe, affordable housing, you got a wait list, right? So
really,
yeah. So
and so they're not. But do you have all tenants who rent from you, or are you flipping them?
No, we try not to have people rent from us. We try to sell them the home. And different scenarios, like when I bring a brand new home in, I can buy brand new homes for $45,000-$50,000. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,100 square foot home, granite, stainless, everything. I sell them that home for the same price I get it for. So I've got a dealer's license where I get it at wholesale. So I sell that home back to them I buy for 50, I sell to them for 50. I'm not trying to make money on the home. What I got is the lot rent every month. And my value on my property comes from the pad rental. So you have an endless supply of people wanting to buy these houses. Now, if I buy a property and I buy it and it's got 5 homes in it, that we own, and then the other are all tenant owned. The first thing I do is tell the manager, try to get rid of those 5. Talk to those 5 people. How much can they spend? I had one guy, he wanted to buy a home, and my manager said, "Oh, the home's worth about $8,000 or $9,000." I was like, "Oh, okay. See if he'll buy it off us." And so he talked to me, goes, "No, he can't afford it. He's only got 4,000." I said, 4,000. I said, "Tell him 4,500 and it's his." Now, I sold that home for way cheaper than it was worth. But what I did is I still have the pad rental. Now I have no maintenance on that thing. Your toilet doesn't work. That's your problem. Your roof is leaking. Your problem. Your windows are old. That's also your problem. So I completely eliminated the maintenance cost of that home. Long term, my value on a mobile home park is only based off the lot rent. When the bank does an appraisal on it, and you're buying that property, they don't even ask how many homes are rented. They don't even care. They want to know how many homes are on each lot and how much do those rent for. That's it. They don't want to know if you own the home or the tenant owns the home. They don't care. It's all about that lot rent. And that's where the value comes.
Okay. So for those who are unfamiliar, like myself, in a mobile home park, you own the land and you're renting each lot, and people can put on it whatever they want to.
Yeah, within our rules. But typically we put the home there and then we sell the home typically. So that, like I've got one right now where it's almost every home in there is brand new. So you think of a mobile home park, you're probably not thinking of what that one is. It's got a playground. It's very, very nice. All brand new roads. It's so really on that one, we own the water pipe, the sewer pipe, the roads, some grass, a playground, an office, and that's it. Everybody else owns all their own stuff. And so if you could buy your own home and for $50,000, say you're all in with your pad rental and your mortgage for under $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. The amount of people that are lining up for under $1,000 for that product, it's insane.
Wow. Do you have to deal with other outside elements like crime within these mobile home parks, or people, I don't know, burning trash, or because you mentioned there are certain types you go for and ones that to avoid. Tell us about that.
We go for a little bit nicer of a property, or if we buy a poor property, we're trying to turn it around. We have one right now. It's a complete turnaround. I mean, the first time I went there, I drove through it and I drove back out, and I wasn't even sure if it was safe to be there. I brought a manager up from Florida to that property, and he went there for a couple of days, and he's like, "I got to go home. I got to go home." I said, what's going on? And he's like, "I got to go home. Just get me a plane ticket home." And I was like, "Oh, I guess that didn't pan out." He goes back home. A day or two later, he calls me and he's like, "All right, I'm ready to go back up there." And I'm like, "What's the deal?" He's like, "I'll tell you when I get back up there. Just, I need another plane ticket." I'm like, "What's this guy's deal?" And so he got back up to the property, and then he sent me a picture, and he's sitting at his desk with all his guns laid out. And he's like, "I had to go back to Florida to get my guns." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So,
whoa. And wait, this is the manager of the mobile home park?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Does he live? Do you have a manager who lives on site?
Yeah. He lives on site. And so most properties, I do have someone that lives on site. It just makes it a little bit easier. I have a maintenance person and a manager on every property. So one of the two is going to live on the property for sure.
Okay. And I'm assuming you just build that into your costs.
Yeah, for sure. Right? For sure.
Do you have an analog to an HOA? Like, everybody has rules that they have to abide by for the area? And do they pay a monthly fee, or you just build that into the lot fee that they pay monthly?
No, like they're just paying straight lot rent.
Okay.
They'll probably pay their own utilities, water, sewer, power, typically. And we have, you know, community guidelines. You got to follow the rules. That's part of our manager's job, to enforce those rules. I don't want to see, you know, 3 deep freezes in your front yard and 2 cars that don't have tires, you know. No trampolines. Insurance companies hate trampolines. You know, simple things. No open fires, right? They're mobile homes. They're
right. Right. But it sounds like, what a sleek system. You buy the mobile home and then you place it on your lot and you just sell it at cost because you want the lot rent, and that's just turnkey. So, and when you're buying these, are you able to get financing for them, or you have to buy them cash?
Oh, that's a good question. We sell, well, as the owner of the mobile home park, it's crazy. We can actually buy homes with no money out of our pocket. The manufacturer will send the homes, and we have 1 year to sell the home. So, and if we don't sell it within a year, then we start making the payments. Now, when we go to sell the home, we actually have 3 different companies that we sell that have that offer financing on mobile homes. So when we sell it, you come to us and you say, I got really terrible credit, whatever. Then we know we got to go with this company. Or you come to us and say, you know, I got good credit, but I only make $2,000 a month. Then we go with this company. And so we have 3 different companies we use. So we can basically sell you that home with financing in place. We don't even have to pay for the house to come to us. And so we just keep filling them up. And so you're getting a good deal too. So because we're buying these homes so cheap, when we list a house for sale, we get people calling us all the time trying to buy that house and pull it off the property, because they're like, this home is 50,000, but at the retailer it's 80,000 or 90,000.
Whoa.
So because we're getting them at wholesale. But part of the agreement we have on this property is that when you buy that home, there's a 5-year clause in it that doesn't allow you to take it away, because we know that you were selling it to you for such a good deal. And mobile homes are mobile; they can be pulled out. So, you know, that clause, there's like I think it's a $5,000 penalty if you pull it out. I have had people pay the $5,000 penalty and pull it out, but it is what it is.
Okay, but how smart is this? I mean, I just love hearing success stories that are using creativity and thinking outside the box. And how thinking outside the box is it to acquire hundreds of units in a non-traditional way, like you know, in mobile home parks.
From my couch.
And you did this. That's right. You're not even traveling to.
I'm not even there.
I'm not even there. You're kidding me. Oh my gosh. So, okay. You have to bless us with another system, at least a little bit in the time we have left, as to how you're able to do this from your couch, out of state, out of the country.
I mean, everything's online now, right? So the biggest thing you can do in life is make connections with people, right? Networking. I don't care what business you're in. If you're not networking, you're going to have a hard time. So network, right? And the mobile home park industry is very, very small. So meet all the brokers, right? Make some phone calls, introduce yourself. Now, because of the asset class, it does attract a little bit of weirdos here and there. You're going to get some weird real estate brokers, and they're not all going to like you. But you're going to get a few that really do like you, and they're going to send you deals. They're going to say, hey, I got a guy listing a property. You might be interested. This is in your area or whatever. And then, you know, you can do pretty much all the analyzing of a property happens from your couch. You send someone out to inspect it. The bank sends out an appraiser. You send out someone to do an environmental study on it. You're not doing any of this. You're just collecting all the data back and you're looking at it. You don't really need to walk the property. I'm not going to go introduce myself to everybody. Even when I go to the property, I always tell the manager, like, don't tell anybody this is my property, right? Like, I'm not here to meet people. So and then, you know, at the very end, when you're getting really close to closing on it and actually taking possession of that property, I'll send somebody to go walk it, take some videos, take some pictures, meet the manager, you know, that type of stuff. Or I might go myself, but, you know, for the most part, I don't really do that in the beginning. I'll go typically after we've already bought it and see what we got.
After you've bought it, you find out what the purchase is looking like.
Yeah. You want to know at that point, right? You're curious.
You're pot committed at that point. But wow, sure. I'm just curious. Have you ever bought raw land to turn it into a mobile park, or does it have to be existing? Is that difficult with?
Yeah, I prefer existing. Someone today, even on Instagram, sent me a thing. He's buying a piece of land. He wants to turn it into a mobile home park. You know, he's looking for some advice, and it's hard because putting the water pipes, the sewer pipes, the roads in, all that cost, I could buy another existing property for less money than it's going to cost him to build all that infrastructure. And the government and the city typically don't like what you're building. They're trying to get rid of mobile home parks. They're not trying to add them. So there's about 44,000. Yeah, there's 44,000 mobile home parks in the United States, and every year that number goes down. You know, they get redeveloped. Walmart takes one, whatever it is. So every year that number is less and less. It's not more and more. So it's a declining asset, but so the demand even, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That makes sense. Although my heart got a little sad when you said that the government isn't actively involved in trying to provide more affordable housing. They're trying to shrink it. And
they think they're an ugly asset class. And the truth is that there's a lot of mobile home parks that have like some pretty shady people living in them. They have some, you know, they're not all pretty, and they're not all new homes, and they're not all new roads. Some of them are pretty bad. So, you know, if you're a city and you got a couple of those in your town, you're trying to push those out. You're trying to get rid of those.
I mean, I just think revitalization could be the answer, though.
Yeah.
And I guess living in California, where I used to live, I was exposed to a few mobile home parks by the beach that were really nice. I was like, how do I get in there? You know, 5 minutes from Huntington Beach Harbor, or there was one not far from Malibu. Like, I've seen some nice ones, and ones with, like, I don't know if they were totally designated as like retirement communities, but I feel like I've seen that too. And there's a need for it. So.
Well, those are different though, right? I'll take you to some in Missouri or something, and you won't even want to get out of the car. So, I mean, I had one that I drove through, and I couldn't even count how many dogs were chasing our car. They're like biting the tires, and like it was crazy. There's like just a herd of dogs behind us when we were driving out. It was insane.
Whoa! Yeah, that's like third world country stuff. I've experienced that on my bike in Bali, so I know the feeling.
There you go.
Well, Jeff, with the time we have left, you've been so interesting and fascinating for me that I'm like, this time is flying by, and there's so much I still want to ask you. But can we talk about financing? Like, how do you acquire investment financing when you have needed it to put deals in place?
Right. So for me, I have a circle of people, back to networking. Your network is your net worth kind of thing. I go to people in my circle and I say, hey, you know, this is what we're buying. Everybody knows that that's what I do. Who's in, who's not, show of hands, how much money in for, you know, or I'll tell them a minimum amount. And then as far as the bank section goes, I'll use a mortgage broker, and I'll let him call the local banks. The local banks are typically way easier to work with. And so, you know, for me, I don't even have a social security number. I'm literally not an American, and I have bank mortgages, bank financing, 3% interest rates, no prepayment penalty, fixed for 20 years. Like it's all about who you know, right? And I have
got 3% interest on an investment property,
commercial loan, 3%. Yeah.
Wowza. Yeah. For 20 years fixed.
20-year fixed. Yeah. No prepayment penalty. I can get out of it at any point in time too. So.
Oh my goodness.
But that's a mortgage broker, and that's a contact. That's a networking contact that I made. And, you know, he's just good. And so he calls all the local banks and he makes those connections. You know, I networked with him and he networks with the bank, and it's a circle of networking.
Oh, I like that. Do you know, I've never worked with a mortgage lender who is creative enough to go call local banks when they're brokering. Well, so I need to network with that person.
Well, my guy didn't really have much choice too, because he's like, okay, so what are you buying? And I tell him, and he's like, okay, what's your credit score? I'm like, I don't even have one in the US. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't even have a social security number. He's like, I got to call some local banks. And I'm like, hey, do what you got to do, man. So
I love it. And do they have you just put together a pro forma or show like your portfolio? How do you acquire funding when you're not even a US citizen?
He puts all the numbers together, the mortgage broker, and then the bank, they base everything off the property. It's a commercial loan. It's not like a single family house where, you know, if one guy moves out, it changes everything, right? There's multiple units. It's a pretty safe asset for the bank. And so they base it off the numbers. They don't really base it off of me at all.
Yeah. And I do like that asset financing, equipment financing, but I'm still in the single family space or the 4 and under.
Step it up. See, the best thing about multifamily is that if you have bad credit or low income or whatever, it doesn't matter. Now, if you're getting in the single family space and you try to go get a mortgage, if you have bad credit, it's going to be hard, right? And
Yep.
so that's one of the things that people think, that the barrier to entry on these larger properties, oh, it's, you need so much money, it's so hard. It's actually easier. It's literally easier.
Okay. Yeah. Mind blown. I was just talking to one of those like credit correction and asset lending companies last week. And they were saying, yeah, you really want, if you can get above a 780, and the highest I've ever had is 781 middle score. I'm telling you, this oppressive American stuff, you don't even have to worry about in Canada. Wait, do you have credit scores?
Oh yeah. We have the same companies, literally.
Okay.
But the thing is that I don't have to use my credit because I'm buying in a different country.
I love that so much that I can't believe through local banks, they'll just lend based on the asset, and they'll give you, do they give you, is it really high? I mean, are you able to get low LTV property?
Yeah, pretty, but it depends. So I think as you get going, it gets better on that. So the first one that I bought, it was a $350,000 purchase. They wanted me to put 140 down. So, I mean, the LTV is not the best there.
Yeah.
You know, a $210,000 mortgage, 140 down, you know, that's not the best. But the thing is that when I came back around for the second one, I went back to the same bank. And now the numbers all of a sudden got a lot better. And, you know, the third one, the numbers got even better. And so I think it's that first one, you're going to have a crappy LTV, but it'll get better. And you get weird relationships. Like one time the bank called me and said, hey, if you lend us $1 million, we'll give you $1 million line of credit forever. We only need it for 6 months. I was like, what? This is like a big bank too. I was like, this is the most random thing they're asking me. I didn't do it, but I didn't have it. But it was a good deal.
I like this inside stuff and this creative out of the box thinking. And by the way, for anyone listening who doesn't know, LTV is loan to value, if I'm not butchering it. Yep, and investors always want to try to get as high an LTV loan as possible. So if you can get 100% financing, then it's at increments. Then it's 3% down, 97% LTV, 95, 90. But typically, investment loans are at 80% LTV. You have to have 20% down. So that's why I love this mobile home idea, where you can pick up the mobile homes themselves for 100% financing for a year. That's nuts.
Great. Yeah. So once you buy that land, you know, you can do things like that. Now, I will say that people always like that 100% financing, but then it really doesn't cash flow at all. Like you're covering your mortgage, and you bought the property with like no money, but you're not really making money. Now, my goal was to not work, right? So like, how are you going to not work a job if you're not making any money on these properties? So truth be told, like you're in that 20 to 30% range is probably where you're going to make the most money. You know, if you have 20 to 30% put down on a property, you're going to cash flow nicely. It's a nice LTV. You're going to make money every month.
Okay. And let me ask you just a quick math question that came to mind. So let's say, for easy math, you buy something for 100K, you put 30K into it for 70% LTV. That 30,000 though, do you think it's going to cash flow to give you 30,000 back within a year? Do you ever see scenarios like that where you can cash flow at 2,200 a month or something like that to make your money back? Or do you have a certain formula you're looking for where you want the return on what you put into it in 2, 3, 5 years? How do you go about analyzing deals?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on the property. It really, really depends on the property. So let me give you an example. That $350,000 first mobile home park we bought, $140,000 down, $210,000 mortgage. When I was going to buy this property, they told me that it's 23 pads. They told me 18 of 23 are occupied. So I was like, okay, not bad. I only got to fill 5 spots. I said, what's the lot rent? They said $280. I was like, $280? Okay, that's not bad. And I said, your management expenses are super high. They're like, yeah, fire the manager. The manager's making too much money. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I crunched the numbers and I thought, you know what? The math on this works out. So I bought the property. I sent my guy there to check on it after I bought it. And he's like, this thing's 23 of 23 occupied. I said, what do you mean? It's 18. He goes, nope, all of it's occupied. I said, something's wrong, man. And he's like, nope, all occupied. I said, okay, well, what's the lot rent? He goes, the lot rent's 360. I said, 360? They told me 280. And he goes, yeah, well, it's 360. And I said, well, what's the deal with the manager? He goes, oh, she's a sweetheart. I said, well, they told me I should fire her. He goes, why is that? And I said, they say she makes too much money. He goes, she's barely making anything. He goes, they're using all their district managers on the same payroll for this property. When I looked at the numbers, he goes, the management cost on this thing is next to nothing. I was like, oh, wow. So that property turned out that we were netting after our net, like after everything, after our mortgage, after management, after water bills, sewer bills, everything, profit every single month was turning out to be $3,000 a month. So that was $36,000 in a year. So I was getting $36,000 every year back on my $140,000 investment. So, you know, it only took a few years to pay that property off. And, you know,
and now it's just churning out monthly profit, right?
Well,
how long have you had that one?
3 years. So,
okay.
Everybody knows on any rental property you buy that year one is your worst year. Now you have a fixed mortgage cost of whatever it is, $5,000 a month, and your rents are say $7,000 a month. It's just a fixed number year one. But what happens is year two, your mortgage is still $5,000 a month, but your rents are no longer $7,000, they're $7,500. And year three, they're $8,000, and year four, they're $9,000. However that scale goes, but your mortgage was always still set at that $5,000. So year one is your worst year. So year one, we were netting $36,000 a year. It got better from there, but you know, but maybe that's a unicorn. I don't know.
I think if people are driven and creative and dedicated to finding good deals in ways that aren't maybe the most obvious, that not everybody and their grandmother is chasing, you can find, it doesn't have to be a unicorn. That's what I think. And I love the way you've tried so many different things, from vacation rentals to fix and flips to mobile home parks, single family, the whole gamut to try to find your sweet spot. And so it's like, it's super inspirational. And you didn't like, we didn't have time to get into this, but you didn't like owning a conventional business, right? You did cell phone sales. Yeah.
Well, we had a couple cell phone stores, and you know, it's a grind every day, right? You got to be there when it opens and till it closes, and nonstop people all day long. And, you know, we were making good money, but it's a headache, right? So back to what you're saying about finding, you know, is this a unicorn or not? It's really a lot of mindset, right? Like if you've got a positive attitude, you've got a positive mindset, you're like, I'm going to find one of these, you know what you're looking for, you get confident, you learn enough, they're out there, right? It's, if you believe they're not out there, you won't find one, right? So it's important to have a good mindset.
Absolutely. I think if nothing else, that you and I met at the Grant Cardone GrowthCon conference, if nothing else, what I emerged from that conference was with the mindset of networking, like what you said, the power of the power of networking, and the concept that anything is possible. Money is energy. It's an idea, and it starts with you believing, right? Like, I'm born to have abundance. I have the same skill set and the same 24 hours a day as anybody else. Maybe not skill set, the same two eyes and like mind and ability to get out there and think creatively and grind and learn something I don't know. We all have the ability to learn and stay open, stay teachable. So.
For sure. And when you're around environments like that and you meet other people doing such big things in the same 24 hours that you have, it opens your mind up. Like, wow, this guy, 100 million, 200, 300 million, that's insane. Right. So, you know, you open your mind up, get your mind right, you know, endless.
And go for it. I mean, would you have thought 20 years ago you'd own 250 doors plus?
No, probably not. Probably not. I mean, even the goal of getting to 1,000 this year, because we've got great systems in place, it seems like, how do you go from 250 to 1,000? You got to do a lot more work. Actually, it's barely any more work, because the bulk of that work came in the first 20 to 50 units, even that first 100 units. Now that we've got systems in place, adding another 50, 100, 200, it's actually really not that much more difficult. So, I mean, you never know what you can do, right? Until you put yourself out there and try.
I love it, Jeff. I'm so inspired. Are you on the socials in case people want to follow you, stalk you, figure out your secret sauce?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Property Gains is my handle. TikTok as well. I kind of had a video go viral on that back in the day, some random Airbnb video, got like 24 million views or something like that. So it
oh, why? What was special about it? I love that.
Literally nothing. I was eating lunch with my mother-in-law talking to me in the background, and I had a security camera footage come to me from one of my Airbnb properties of a piece of glass breaking, and I was like, charge those guests, they broke the glass. And it was outside. There's like a glass railing outside, and then I keep watching the video, and it just turns out to break by itself. So I posted it on TikTok and Instagram, and 24 million views or so later. So I'll run into people all the time. They're like, "Oh, you're the Airbnb glass guy." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, that's me."
Wow. Okay. Well, we learned a lot today that glasses can break in Airbnbs randomly, and you can get charged for them. So that's good. Videos can go viral, 24 million with no rhyme nor reason, but everybody needs entertainment.
Terrible video. Go watch it though, you know.
Now I'm going to look it up. I'm totally going to look that up at Property Gains. You said on TikTok and Instagram, right?
Yep. You got it.
Yeah, like there's a lot we can learn from you. I'm so inspired. And I hope, if nothing else, besides that really good hack that you gave about having a, what do you call it? The person who comes after a checker for $30. People, and then you'll have a line around the block. People wanting to do that. Yes, which can save your business. But if nothing else, I hope that we all emerge from this conversation just knowing that, honestly, like, anything is possible. Think outside the box. Who knew you can buy a mobile home park and pick up mobile homes without even paying for them? Like there's just so many possibilities that we're not taught in school.
Exactly. Like open your mind up, learn some things, get inspired by other people, network with people. That's it.
Network. I'm so glad I met you. I'm going to keep picking your brains if I can.
Feel free to. I love helping people, so feel free. Anybody has any questions, reach out. I'm always putting it on I'll be sitting around and I got some time to spare. I'll put it on my Instagram. Who needs some help learning how to flip or doing a flip or Airbnbs or that type of stuff. I put one out yesterday and I got a bunch of people. I'm going to shoot some videos with them next week. So if anybody needs help, feel free to reach out.
Oh my gosh. We love you, Jeff Boyd. You're amazing. At Property Gains on Instagram. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining in. As always, we love to hear from you. Show ideas, questions, comments. You can reach me on the web at ease, that's EEAZE.com, or on our show hotline, 801-901-7030. I'm Candy Tolentino, your host, wishing you prosperity, happiness, joys, and always stay at ease. Bye for now.